Hello everybody, hope everyone's doing well out there. This is Barney Boom and I am going to be doing a video blog today. This is my first video blog, so forgive me any mistakes. I was going to write a blog after hearing the news that I heard today, but writing blogs takes a lot of effort, and I'm not sure that many people have been reading the written blog, so I thought it'd be easier to just sit here and press record and talk about what I'm here to talk about, which is today's news of the split of Mouthwash. Now, Mouthwash, to us and a lot of the bands, a lot of the time people call Mouthwash the most underrated band in the UK, and I hate the word underrated because I think Mouthwash achieved a lot. So, and the fact that they've influenced so many bands, I suppose they have achieved a lot. They've overachieved because they've achieved so much through the music. But at the same time, you can see that there's been bands that may have got more plaudits or more people coming to see them, more people buying the records or whatever. So in that respect, they were a massively underrated band. But they were always a band that I think that other bands were into because what they were doing was so interesting and so different, but so powerful and cohesive. First time I remember Mouthwash was a long time ago. The tail end of the 90s, when I was first getting into punk music and ska music, and in the UK there was basically a few bands about, but out of nowhere this one band got signed to Hellcat, and that was a big deal at the time because Hellcat was like Rancid's label, and that was a massive thing. But then they released that one album that had some great tracks on it, and then they disappeared. And what had happened was they went and did their own thing, went and did an American tour, which you have to ask them about. It's the most hilarious story. Some of the stories about there I really can't repeat, so you'd have to ask them. But they were just kids at the time, and they went out and had a crazy old time in America. But it all got too much, and they basically imploded. And then, meanwhile, this is the thing: people say they were underrated. Meanwhile, there was a whole wave of bands after Cat Down that sort of went and took that whole ska punk thing to sort of different places and ended up playing in front of a lot of people, which Mouthwash unfortunately kind of missed out on. Because the time I remember them coming back was in 2006. They suddenly appeared again, and they were supporting us in Wales in this gig where there was no there was nothing. There wasn't a stage. There was just a PA, and they were on the floor, and we knew that they'd come back, and there was a lot of, whoa, what Mouthwash going to be like? And then they played The Sound, and me and Ben turned around to each other and were like, wow, these guys are amazing, because that whole mix of sort of a sort of dance music sensibility, but mixing sort of UK punk, but then having this sort of urban pop dance sensibility was something that we wanted, and we'd been trying to do with Rough Guide to Genre Terrorism, and then we saw the way that they did it, and that was like, wow, this is how it should be done. And even We Evolve and all the stuff on that first record still had that. They've always had this unique vibe, and they've always known exactly who they were. And I remember going up to Rob and Chris and basically saying, look, I've got this idea for a tune, I hope you don't mind. We've robbed it off you. And the song was Meanwhile Back in the Real World, and that was like, it wasn't Rob, but it was my idea of, it was me listening to Mouthwash, that album True Stories, before it actually came out, the stuff on there going through my head and mixed with We Evolve, and just going, this is the kind of tune. But they weren't like sniffy about it at all. They were so gracious and were like, yeah, you know, we influence bands, and they have influenced us no end. I know they've influenced the Skints. I know they've influenced King Blues. You know, just that's the ones that I know have confirmed it, either on the radio or in interviews. That's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of who they've influenced. So even after today, they're splitting up, their influence is going to live on you know, exponentially through all these other bands, and I you know, hopefully they're always going to get brought up as a band that had a massive influence. And this is why I hate this word underrated, because they have achieved so much. It just happens to be that they weren't always around at the time when some of the ripples of what they had created and some of the influence that they had, you know, put out there had come into a place where it was amplified, with different bands taking on ideas that Mouthwash and other bands had given them. And I just think, if you have never checked out Mouthwash's music, then obviously now would be as good a time as any as to go and do that, because both their albums are great, but True Stories was the culmination of you know, of a lot of years of them regrouping and putting all these ideas into a sort of more coherent form. And you know, it's a brilliant album, and we were proud enough to have been able to re-release it on Rebel Alliance Recordings, and you know, that was an honour, and it was something that was the time of doing a record label. That's something I look back on and definitely smile about. Another thing, this is on a new album, and from us since Arcade Perfect, massive influence on me, literally, as a bass player. I mean, anybody that plays the bass can probably tell. Birch has been a massive influence. Like, there's stuff on the new album where it's literally, oh yeah, we'll play it like Mouthwash. I tell you what, that's the one thing that has been said in Sonic Boom 6 rehearsals more than any other thing, except for Shut Up. The thing that has been said most is, no, do it like Mouthwash, to me or Neil particularly. Because we would never ask the guitarist to play like Rich, because they've not got a space station to stand on. So ultimately, just want to say good luck to all the guys, and most of all, want to say thank you to the guys for the influence that they've given us. And even on our new album that we've just been recording a week ago, there's a tune on there that sounded so like Mouthwash, or was so influenced by Mouthwash, that until we recorded it, it was called Listerine. So, you know, in all seriousness, they're great guys. It's going to be really, really, really sad to have a musical landscape without you. And it's to a lot of people probably today, it's another one bites the dust, another one of the good guys bites the dust. But to us, and I know a lot of other bands, it's more than that, because it's the Swash. It was the guys that you always, whenever something good happened for them, or whether they looked to be getting it together and was finally going to be the time when everybody realised this is the best band, it was always a band that you just wanted to do it. And them as people and as a band were never about that being overly ambitious, and they were never too business minded. It was always about the tunes, and they were always friendly, and it was never about the industry and that kind of thing. With those guys, it was about the tunes, and they had this unshakable confidence in their own ability and their own music and their own style, which was totally inspiring. And they were just a package, and they were like a gang. So tonight, not drinking tonight, trying to be good, so I'll raise a bottle of water to Mouthwash. The weekend I'll have a drink on Mouthwash. So all that's left to be said really is thank you to Rob, to Rich, to Nipper, to Chris and to Birch, and for everybody that has been a Mouthwash fan and bought a Mouthwash record or one of their ridiculous t-shirts. Then I salute you, and thank you, cheers for listening, and we evolve.